Good morning, welcome back to my channel. It's Saturday the 7th of June 2025 and it's about 8:30. I am off to the gym, so that's why I'm all dressed in black. I don't know why I have this urge to wear black for the gym. I don't know if it's because I want to melt in and not get noticed. That could be it, but I'm loving it, absolutely loving the gym, which is amazing me. Right, okay, let's kick off with what's for the basket. And this is the new cookery book from Slimming World, which goes on sale, I think, the week after next. Don't quote me on that. But it's street food. It's not something I would use, so I'm just going to put my copy in the basket because I got my copy with a 12-week countdown. I always said I didn't do 12-week countdowns. Then I looked at the mathematics of it and the savings and thought to myself, grow up. So now I do a 12-week countdown every 12 weeks and I save myself the cost of 2 weeks, which for me is £11.30. And I'd rather spend that £11.30 on something else, usually coffee. Okay, so that's for the basket. The word of affirmation today is indulging, because I'm looking at the moment at why, how and when I indulge myself. Now I'm very good, I love shopping, I'm very good at shopping for clothes, I'm very good at shopping for perfumes, I'm very good at shopping for household things, but I've been studying more about minimalism and getting back to where I used to be when I was a serious minimalist, and I'm also enjoying that. So I've loads of stuff on Vinted, things that I have bought for myself in a very indulgent way and then never worn or never used. Somebody else is now getting pleasure from. And I know that because I get messages back from them saying so. So that's very good. But when I'm looking at indulging and being indulgent, what does indulging mean? Indulging means gratification of a desire. Now, I've always been one for instant gratification. Can't wait, I want it now, I want to do it now, I want to go there now, I want to have it now. All those things. Instant gratification. I've never been the user of a credit card, so it doesn't come down to like I'm going to spend money I haven't got and worry about it later and things like that. But I am impulsive, so I will spend money I have got on something I don't always need or want and then regret it afterwards. Like I was out shopping the other day and I bought 2 tops in TK Maxx, and Joe questioned afterwards, why did you buy them? And I said, because I was out with my friend and we like shopping for clothes. Do you want them? Do you like them? Mm-hmm. So I took them back yesterday. Now it was only 28 quid, but it was an indulgence that I didn't need and I didn't want. So I'm learning. One of the things that struck me this week though, I've had 5 birthdays around me this week. And Joe would tell you one of my old habits was to celebrate anybody's birthday. I think I mentioned it in my video either last week or the week before. It didn't matter if it was a neighbour's birthday or somebody on the bus. I'd celebrate anybody's birthday. But how did I celebrate birthdays? I celebrated them with a binge. It was an excuse to indulge myself for instant gratification with a binge. And that binge might cost a heck of a lot of money and do a heck of a lot of damage to me, my weight, my health, my guilt levels. It was never a positive thing. It was always linked to self-sabotage or self-destruction. Because I don't know why. I always had this desire to destroy myself. I'm grateful I've left that behind. So this week there's been Wilf's birthday, there's been Brenda's birthday, there's been my younger brother Chris turns 66 on Tuesday, one of my very best friends has a birthday today, and my mum is 93 in a couple of days. 5 perfect excuses for a binge within 10 days. And I didn't have the desire and haven't had the desire to do it for one of them. I mean, one of the birthdays, not one of the people. I never did it for people. They never knew about it. It was secret. I'm telling you about it, but it was always a secret in my life. I'm grateful today that I feel much more balanced around junk food, as in I can have it if I want it, but I don't choose it. Nothing is out of bounds. Nothing is never say never. Everything that fits within my Slimming World plan is available to me. I just don't want to waste my sins on rubbish, and I don't want to overindulge myself anymore, because I like feeling the way I feel today. I like the fact that I can go to the gym. I like the fact that I can walk a hell of a long way again and enjoy it. I'm not walking a hell of a long way because it's exercise and I'm trying to burn calories. I'm doing it because I love it. I enjoy it. I get something out of it. I get a buzz when I get home and my legs are tired and I think, my God, I've just walked all the way to TK Maxx and back. I could have caught the bus, it would have been £3 each way or whatever, but I've walked it and I feel better for it. And we've had a laugh and we spoke to different people and we've done different things and I can do it. I'm not the 22 stone woman who struggled to get out of the armchair anymore. I'm actually £4 away from being half of that woman. Today I'm weighing in at 11 stone 4. I lost half a pound this week and I celebrate that, because half a pound is what I want to lose. I'm not chasing a dream, I'm not chasing a fantasy, I'm going to lose £6 this week. I don't need to. Because I'm consistent, I can drip, drip, drip and fill the bucket. I can't tell you how different that feels. I can't tell you how I wish everybody felt like that. I can't tell you how I wish everybody loved this plan as much as I do. I know some people think I possibly take it too seriously. Yeah, I need to take it seriously. Because I was slowly killing myself doing it the other way. And I'm not lying to myself about Slimming World. I know how to work this plan. I understand the synergy of this plan. I'm not fooling myself or kidding myself. Let's just talk about sins for a minute. I had an interesting experience this week. I went into Aldi and I wanted something quick for my lunch because I was going out. And we'd been out all morning. Called in Aldi on the way back and I said to Joe, I want something quick because I'm going out again. I'm going out with my friend. And I said, I know what, I'll have some sushi. I haven't had sushi for, well, I was going to say weeks, but I think it's actually months. I haven't bought any sushi for months. But I know the one I like in Aldi, the extra large vegan sushi, and it's 5 cents. And I said to Joe, scan it for me just to check. It's a while since I bought it, I need to know it hasn't changed. He scans it, 5 cents, I bought it. Then I needed to pop into Lidl, which is just across the road from our Aldi, to get some oat milk. We did that. While we're walking down the aisle towards the oat milk, Joe says, oh, they've got vegan sushi here. So he opens the fridge door thing and he brings out a box of vegan sushi, which was possibly 1 inch or 1.5 inches longer than the Aldi box. So I said, how many sins is it? And Joe got his phone out, went to scan it and said, oh, no internet cover. So do you want it? And I said, not unless I know how many sins it is. I don't do that anymore. I need to know the sin value before I eat it, rather than, feeling shit after I ate it and discovered I was wrong. So I said, take it closer to the door because there'll be internet coverage. So we look like we're nicking it. Here we go, creeping towards the door with his phone in hand and the sushi in hand, and we scan it. Now, it looked, to all intents and purposes, like it could be a couple of sins more than the Aldi one. The Aldi one was 5, the Lidl one was 17. I was glad we'd scanned it, because I could have eaten that, and as I said, it's a couple of sins more than the Aldi one, but it's not. It was 12 sins more. It was more than my daily allowance. I'd already had plans for other sins later in the day, taking me up to my 15. It would have actually put me up to 27 sins if I'd had that. Now I was going to buy it for the following day. I was going to have the Aldi one on Wednesday, the other one on Thursday. it just shows you need to be on the ball. You need to use your app to look at the changes in sins which come up every month. You need to use your app to look at the new food that's given sin values every month. Don't neglect yourself. Please don't neglect yourself, because you're the only one who'll pay for it. When you go and you get on the scales and they haven't moved downwards, they've gone up a fraction and you don't understand why, it can be because of something as simple as that. And every one of us can fall foul of that if we don't check. It's really important to check. Now, the other thing I've heard quoted this week a couple of times on totally different videos is, one was Patrick, and I'm going to name Lisa and Rufus. They say it, and this is not a criticism, guys. I love your channel. 20 calories is one sin. That's something they use very loosely at Slimming World when, and Lisa and Rufus will know this, but they use it when there are no free foods or speed foods involved. So if 20 calories is one sin, you can take that loosely, and still very loosely. You do need to scan and you do need to check, but you can take that very loosely to be the truth as long as there's nothing else involved. So you might find something like, I don't know, a Freddo that's just chocolate. I don't know how many sins a Freddo is, I don't know how many calories a Freddo is, but you can check that. But if you look at food, like I said, I bought the sushi. I bought the Aldi sushi, which was 5 sins. It sure as hell was not 100 calories because it involved free food. Now you can say, yeah, we can eat free food, we can have as much free food as we like. But if you're having that as a snack on top of all the other free food you're having in the day, on top of your healthy extras, etc., etc., on top of the other 10 sins you can have, you can actually push your calories up. If I spent 15 sins on 3 of my favourite sushis, that could be 900 to 1,000 calories for 15 sins. And as much as it sounds ridiculous, I would have that on top of all my other free food, which is also calories. Now, we don't want to get into, oh, Slimming World is a calorie control diet. It ain't. Don't try and combine the two, it doesn't work. But the bottom line for the synergy of Slimming World is the boundaries they give us will keep us on a reasonable, not a low number of calories, because that's not the way to lose weight, but will keep us on a reasonable number of calories if we acknowledge that eating free food has to be curtailed by satiation. So Slimming World say, eat as much free food as you want, i.e. your pasta, your rice, your potatoes, your whatever free food you want to have. But it also says, until you are satisfied. So if 70 grams of dry pasta satisfies you, you don't need 100. If 100 satisfies you, you don't need 150. We have to learn what satiation and satisfaction feels like. And for most of us, that is a bloody long journey. It's taken me probably 40 years to learn what is the difference between greedy, needy and satisfied. Because sometimes I eat because I'm a greedy person. Sometimes I eat because I'm a needy person and I needed some sort of comfort. And other times I ate because I didn't know what satiation, satisfaction felt like. I do today. I can get satisfied and full. Well, like yesterday for my dessert after my lunch, I had a bowl of fruit and there was pears and apples chopped up in that bowl. And I was absolutely full eating fruit. I'd had my lunch beforehand. Now at one time I'd have eaten all that and then been like, no, what do I fancy next? Because I didn't know what full felt like. And I don't need a GLP-1 injection to teach me. And I don't need a GLP-1 injection to turn off the noises in my head, because I've been studying that this week and learning that a lot of the noises in my head are linked to addiction to ultra-processed foods. And I don't really eat ultra-processed foods today. I eat processed foods because I eat sushi. That's a processed food. I drink oat milk. That's probably as close to ultra processed as I'm going to get. I'm much more careful about what I put in my mouth today. I know what satisfies me, I know what I love to eat, and I try to stay with those things. Now, when we talk about 20 calories being one sin, if you take something like an avocado, which is something we regularly quote on Slimming World, hardly any of us eat them, but we quote them an awful lot like they're some sort of special thing. It's just a fruit, but it's got oil in it. So take an avocado, 15 sins worth of avocado, and if you look in your book in the generic section, it says your average avocado is 14 sins, but 15 sins of avocado, 150 grams that would be, is 280 calories. So if I spend all of my 15 sins on an avocado, and I love avocado, I don't eat it every day, but I wish I would. I spend some sins on other things. But if I spent all of my sins on an avocado, I'm going to consume 280 calories. If I spend all of my sins on the sushi that I like from Asda, the same 15 sins would be 900 and odd calories. That's where I've had to learn savvy sins on my way forward. I don't spend sins on chocolate and crisps and things like that because I've moved away from being a snacker. That's not for everybody. Some people enjoy that, and I hear people saying, you know, they enjoy to do that in the evening when they're watching the telly. Well, I don't watch the telly, so it was easier to let go of the telly and quit the snacking for me in some ways. I don't eat after about 6 p.m. I don't even think about eating it. But that's a habit that I've made over years. It's not something I decided to do last Thursday and I'd achieved it by Friday. These things all take consistency and time. Nothing changes straight away. Keep practicing the changes and they become habits, and then they become normal, and then they become things that give you joy. So 15 sins worth of avocado is 280 calories. 15 sins worth of the vegan sushi that I love could be over 900 calories. Can you see where the difference is? So if you're spending your sins on your chocolate or your crisps, or I don't know what people spend it on. Oh, sorry, that's mine. You actually are keeping closer to a better amount of calories. If you're spending your sins on things that include a lot of free food, so you get more bulk and feel like you're getting more bang for your sins, you actually can be pushing your sins up. Pushing calories up. So what I would say to anybody is start to look at savvy sins. When you get to Target and you're given that silly little, what is it, Slim for Life book, which I haven't got time for. I really don't get it. But when you get that, it tells you in there to adopt savvy sins. Why don't they tell us that halfway through our journey or a third of the way through our journey so that we can practice those things and let go of a lot of the things that are keeping us trapped to being overweight. Like for me, eating chocolate and multi-packs of 12 packets of crisps kept me trapped in a fat body. Today, you'll never see multi-packs. Well, that's not going to tell a lie. There is a multi-pack of crisps in my cupboard at the moment, but they're not mine. My husband's on holiday and he's due back on Monday, and I'm going to go and do a load of shopping today and fill his fridge and his cupboards and whatever for when he comes back, because that's how I am. I like feeding people. And that's the final thing I want to talk about. Was I brought up by a feeder? Yes, without doubt. My mum loves to feed people. I'm going to see her tomorrow for her birthday and she will want to feed me cake. She'll have no luck, but she'll want to feed me cake. She won't take offence when I don't eat it. She's gotten over that. But she'll want to feed me cake because that's how she shows me she loves me. So, what do I do about it? I just say no thank you. But when I look back over my childhood, I went to a very small primary school. We lived in a village. There was 30 kids in the whole school. It was 3 classes of 10. We had an amazing cook called Mrs. Maddock, and she made the most wonderful school dinners and homemade puddings, and we were so well fed, it was incredible. Now most of my mates went home to boiled egg and soldiers or beans on toast or, you know, something like that. Every day of the week we went home to a 2-course dinner. My mum cooked a proper dinner and made a proper homemade pudding. That's when I started to become a food lover. But when you're a kid and you're running around and you're active, it doesn't show, does it? Because you get energy from that food and you don't really gain the weight if you haven't started with a weight issue. You don't really gain the weight unless there's an outside reason for it, and there are with some kids. But I didn't gain the weight at that age because I had breakfast before I went to school, which was usually cereals and toast. I had a school dinner, and then I came home to a dinner and a pudding as well. But we weren't a family of snackers. We didn't have a lot of money, so my mum invested in good meals, but we never got ice creams and crisps and chocolate. That was special. They were a real treat, probably in the school holidays or something, you'd get that. The potman came, we got 1 bottle of pot between 3 of us. We didn't overindulge because we didn't have the money to. But I learned those habits. I learned that food was the love, that food was comfort, that if I fell over, you know, food was comfort. If I felt, I don't remember hugs and things like that, but I do remember bloody good dinners and gorgeous puddings. That was my mum's way of showing us she loved us, because it was her mum's way. My grandma fed half their street. If somebody in her street, one of their kids was getting married and they had no money, because they lived in a mining village and there was no money, the women would get together on that street and they would put on the wedding breakfast, and my grandma would be at the head of it, baking, baking, baking. I remember just my whole life my grandma baked. My mum baked. Nobody does that these days, they just buy everything. But we were fed. We were fed really well, and we learned that this is love. And I brought that into my adult life. But I've also loved myself with food. I remember when I lost my sight the week before I was 16, and not long afterwards I went away to college in Surrey, and then I went to London to another college, and then I got lots of qualifications, and then I left home not much later than 16. I never really went back home after that, but I left home and I got a place in Nottingham, and I got a really good job, and I worked for a lot of years, and I bought my first house. But my way of compensating for loneliness, compensating for anxiety, compensating for anything was food. Because it was a learned behaviour. This is how I love myself. I'll just pop into the shop and buy X, Y and Z. And it's taken me all these years at Slimming World to teach myself that that wasn't loving myself. That was destroying me. And now I'm back in what feels like a better body for me, or is getting to feel like a better body for me. I actually love myself more today because I don't do those things. Because I think today I've got more respect for myself. I would never have done to any of you over the years what I did to me. I would never have forced any of you into years of bulimia. I would never have forced any of you into years of misery, not being able to buy clothes that fitted in normal shops and having to resort to the only shop back then, which was Evans and was awful. I would never have done that to anybody, but I did it to myself all the time. And thank God I don't need to do it today. So I may seem strict on plan, but I am happier, more content, healthier, more energetic, and my head is straight. That's one of the big bonuses. My head is straight. So I can make better choices, I can make better decisions. And I'm so grateful to Slimming World for this. So if I seem defensive about Slimming World at times, if I seem really adamant about the way it works, it's because I understand the synergy.
Sorry, you're 25.
Okay. And I love it. And I love being part of this community. So take care, everybody. £0.5 loss this week and ecstatic about it. Cheers.